Okay, so this is the presentation of my collage. For this one, I kept it a bit simple. I call it Back to School Sociology Edition. So I've used paper out of a notebook to kind of symbolize the going back to school aspect of all of it. In the Sociology Edition, essentially it's about geopolitics and how it pertains to us as just regular folks not involved in higher level geopolitics. So at the very top, essentially I've created a hierarchy and I'll explain it. So at the very top, you have the what I would call the ruling class. So the new kings is what I've called essentially the larger capital owners, like the Jeff Bezos of the world. The old guard, which are part of the imperial project that kind of started it all, and cementing the future, which essentially their kids and nieces, nephews, and everybody that's part of these kind of families that kind of hold all the cards. And then you have your politic class, which kind of hold up. Oh, my Cheetos falling off. Hold on. Yeah, so you have the political class. On this side, you have what I call the promise of progress. So when we talk about these people, as it pertains to these people, the rest of us, normal folks, we have to kind of like once in a while we need a pressure release valve. Otherwise, you'll have revolution. So once in a while, you have to prop up people that give you a promise of progress, right? That way, people kind of back off and don't do anything too drastic that might upset the natural order that they've built. Then you have the careerist. These three here are the careerists, which are, the bigger faces that we've been seeing for a long time. And then you have the useful idiots. And this is like a revolving door of faces. And sometimes they have different faces and it's the same person. Right below that, you have the communicators and new media. So you have like your mainstream news and independent news outlets. So we ever since Reagan, we haven't really had news. This is all just entertainment, right? So these are kind of serve as kind of the bullhorns for the political class, who are the ones that are doing the work of the owner class. So these are all intertwined. And then right below the communicator class, you have all what I call the distraction class. On this side, you have the pretty, in this instance, women, but it could be men too. So these are the distraction class because part of this is that the pretty women, they get it's something for young women and girls to lose their minds over and try to aspire to, although nobody can afford the amount of not having to go to work so that they can be in the gym 6 hours a day, or the Botox or the surgeries. So we have a high rate of suicidality in this country because of these unobtainable kind of goals. Then you have the messy distractors. The messy distractors are kind of like they're always in the tabloids, they're always in the news, there's always something going on, and they do this on purpose. And I'll explain kind of the general purpose of the distractors in just a second. Let's see. You have pornography right there in the middle, which is central to the operation of a distractor class. We call it, other people call them entertainers. They're distractors, so that people stay focused on the things that we don't actually need. People like in the porn industry, and people like Sean Diddy Combs are what I call the gross subset of the distractor class. Also, I think there's different aspects within that gross class that are open to interpretation, but they certainly serve as a distraction. And then over here is the more aspirational class. So you have your Kardashians, your Brad Pitts, your Angelina Jolies, your Drakes. Like, these are people that they've been in the media a long time, and you follow their trajectory, so it kind of feels like you could attain what they could, although you probably can't. But that's just a part of what the distractor class does. Then you have, so I want you to notice that I made that line longer because this distractor class is to protect the rest of these, so that nobody comes close to doing anything about solving the issues up here. So these serve as kind of exactly not just distractors, but kind of like lullabies, so that no one does anything about any real problems. Then at the bottom here, not the bottom, the second to last, are what I misspelled criminal class on purpose, because I think part of being part of the criminal class is also being uneducated, but it's not always the same. So I think you definitely have like uneducated, low IQ, low EQ, emotional quotient people that are like these black sheep that commit crimes. Sometimes it's because they think they're serving a higher purpose. So sometimes, like in their rhetoric, their political class will leave things open-ended, and the black sheep will come up and say, oh, this is what they mean, therefore I must, I don't know, kill a bunch of people in a church or whatever. Then you have what I believe are plants. They also sometimes serve as a distractor, but they also, I think, serve to not normalize violence. I think that's too strong of a concept, but more like making violence kind of like talking about the Great British Bake Off, right? So like making a quadruple murder something as digestible as like any other type of reality show, right? Something that you're not really upset about it, you're just watching it. And then you have your political violence type of criminals, and then lastly, you have the real villains. So this is an undocumented migrant that spent quite some time in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He was released. However, it doesn't matter the specifics of his case. What matters is that he's a representation of how all of this works, right? So the real villain is this guy, which is why we have things like Alligator Alcatraz. It's none of these people up here. These people are, I mean, this guy just got off scot-free with a slap on the wrist, right? So this is the real villain, is the people that make this country full of hardworking immigrants what it is. Those are the real villains, because they choose not to participate in any of the distraction Olympics. And they just want to like put food on the table or whatever. And yeah, and that's you and me too. Right now, it's just brown people like me we're the bad guys right now, but when they're done with us, it could be anyone. It could be literally anyone. So yeah, that's my collage. It's kind of like a comment on what's going on out there, how I see the world daily. I don't see anybody above the criminal class as like an individual or a person. I see them as an integrated part of this entire system. And again, I use the notebook paper because this is kind of like, obviously, nobody teaches you this in school. So I thought it would be a fun way to illustrate it, as if you're like, you leave high school or your second year of college and you kind of understand a little bit more of how the world works, or you learn a bit more about how where your place is within society. That's it.